Okay, imagine this scenario for a second. You spend years, literal years, quietly supporting someone close to you, pouring your own money, your time into their success. Then you show up to the big celebration of that success.
Right.
And they tell you face to face, you don't belong here.
Oof. Yeah, that's exactly the gut punch where the sources we're diving into today really kick off.
Right.
We've got quite a bit of material here, mostly centering on this really personal account from someone we'll call Camila.
Okay.
And it details these intense family dynamics, especially with her younger sister, Kay.
It sounds like a journey that goes from, well, quiet sacrifice to just outright deliberate betrayal.
Absolutely. And then, crucially, it's about how Camila finds her voice after basically being erased, written out of her own family's narrative.
So welcome to the deep dive. Today, our mission is really to unpack all of this. Pull out what these sources tell us about loyalty, maybe the high cost of staying silent.
Yeah.
And, the power you can find in speaking up when your own people try to shut you down.
Exactly. We're going to dig into the specifics. Camila lays out the money trails, the messages, which are pretty shocking, honestly, the confrontations.
Yeah.
Because these details, they aren't just like random incidents. They really show the mechanics of how this kind of emotional exploitation works and what happens when that loyalty finally snaps because it's just been so one-sided for so long.
Okay, so let's start at the beginning, based on what Camila shared in these accounts.
Right.
We've got Camila, she's 32, and for years she's been the financial rock for her younger sister, Kay.
And the numbers aren't small change. We're talking $750 a month. Every month for rent.
Wow.
Plus $3,200 each semester for college tuition. And this went on for years.
So consistent, long-term, serious commitment.
That's what really jumps out immediately, right? The sheer level of it. Yeah. Camila talks about, making sacrifices in her own life to ensure Kay had this support.
And yet, when Kay's graduation party comes around, an event Camila actually helped pay for.
Yeah, she put in $850 specifically for the party itself.
She doesn't even get a direct invitation.
No. She mentions having to basically find a screenshot that her mom had posted in, the comment section of a Facebook post, just to find out the detail.
That's rough. Can you imagine how that feels?
Right. You give all this support, you have to hunt down the invite yourself, and then you show up at this place. It's described as a Bloomington estate. Sounds pretty fancy. Just hoping for, I don't know, maybe a glance, a nod, some basic acknowledgement.
But instead, security stops her at the gate.
Yeah. This is where that core betrayal really happens. The guard says, it's a private celebration. Camila calmly just says who she is. I'm her sister, Camila.
And then Kay herself comes to the door.
Right. Wearing this expensive gold dress, $698.
The one Camila paid for.
The very one. And Kay looks right at Camila and tells the security guard, referring to her own sister, she doesn't belong here.
Wow. And the parents are right there. What do they do?
Well, the source says the dad just kind of chuckled. Yeah. And the mom apparently hissed at Camila, urgently telling her, this is Kay's day. Don't make it something it's not.
Blaming her for their actions.
Exactly. And Kay throws in this extra jab, trying to spin it like Camila's help was some kind of power play. You only helped to hold it over me.
So how does Camila react in that moment?
Yeah.
Standing there, being told she doesn't belong.
According to her account, it's incredibly restrained. Just 2 words back to Kay. Then you're welcome. And she leaves. No tears described, just this silence, heavier than any fight.
And the immediate fallout.
Yeah.
She sends a text.
Yep. Right from the car on the drive home, text to Kay. Starting next month, your rent's on you. Good luck.
Okay.
That's clearly flagged in the source as a massive turning point. The end of the financial support right then and there.
So being physically turned away, that's obviously devastating. But the sources suggest this wasn't like a one-off mistake.
Not at all. It seems to be part of this much deeper, deliberate pattern. Erasure, exploitation. Those are the words that come to mind reading this.
It really drives home that this wasn't just, oops, forgot to invite sisses. It was an active choice.
Totally. The source mentions Camila's own birthday just passed, completely ignored, no call, nothing, while Kay's all over social media around the same time, posting about being grateful for the ones who matter.
Ouch. The implication is clear.
Painfully clear. And this whole financial thing, it gets even weirder. It wasn't just Kay taking the money.
What do you mean?
Camila discovers something about her bank account. Her mother, Judith, somehow has shared access Judith's name is there in bold.
Shared access. How?
Apparently this was set up ages ago after Kay suggested Camila send the rent money through their mom's account. The reason given: easier tracking.
Easier tracking for who?
Well, the source says Judith was literally monitoring Camila's spending, down to like a $5 coffee or a late Netflix charge.
Whoa. That's not just receiving help. That's surveillance.
It adds this whole other layer of control, doesn't it? It's active monitoring of the person providing everything.
And circling back to the party dress for a second.
Yeah, that gold gown.
Camila asks Kay about the budget, right? She mentions her own limit was like $200 for something similar.
Right. And Kay sends back a screenshot of this dress, almost $700, and the text basically says, "This one. You wouldn't get it, but this demands polish."
Kind of condescending.
Very. And Camila still pays for it, gets just a thumbs up emoji back.
And then sees the Instagram post.
Yep. Kay wearing the dress, caption, "Deserve every bit of this moment." No mention of Camila, naturally.
And the source repeats that point.
Yeah. The silence wasn't forgetfulness. It was a choice. Intentional exclusion, time after time.
Okay, so if you thought that was the bottom, it apparently gets worse.
Yeah. What Camila finds out next, it reveals this really disturbing perspective her family seems to hold. It comes through her cousin, Marlene.
Right. Marlene reaches out.
She does. She sends Camila screenshots from a group chat.
And the title of the chat itself is something else.
K plus real ones. I mean, yeah.
And the messages inside just lay it all bare, how little they thought of Camila. The quotes are pretty brutal.
Yeah.
Kay saying things like,
"They told y'all she'd show up so desperate to be a part of everything, and she pays my bills and still gets treated like trash, must love it."
"That's just cold."
And someone else asks, "Did she cry? Please tell me she cried." And Kay's reply, "Didn't say long enough, too bad, I would have filmed it."
Filmed it? That's incredibly cruel.
It's shocking. But maybe the absolute kicker, the line that reveals the core thinking, is when someone asks Kay why she didn't invite Camila after she paid.
And Kay says,
"Why should I paying doesn't mean you're family, it means you're useful."
Useful. Wow.
The source even mentions someone made a meme of Camila's face with the caption, "ATM but make it sad." It's moved way beyond entitlement into just dehumanizing her.
So the cousin, Marlene, why did she send these?
She explains she was added to the chat by mistake, kind of just watched it unfold, but ultimately felt Camila deserved to know who you're defending.
And Camila's reaction to seeing all this?
Not tears, apparently, but what she describes as a cold clarity, a moment of just seeing things exactly as they are.
And she makes a pretty bold move then.
She does. She decides to share those screenshots herself in the main family group chat.
Putting it all out there for everyone to see.
Exactly. And the reaction is telling. Silence at first. 10 minutes passed, no replies. Then just one single action. Aunt Martha left the group.
Aunt Martha just leaves.
That quiet exit, Camila says, told her more than any defense could. It showed the seams of our family's facade were splitting. Exposing it within the family started to change things.
So after putting those screenshots out there, she must have faced some backlash directly.
Oh, yeah. Direct confrontations followed. But interestingly, the sources show the family didn't really apologize or back down. They kind of doubled down, tried to control the story again.
Who contacts her first?
The mother, Judith, she calls. And Camila describes her using this rehearsed softness in her voice. Right. Starting with, "I wish you hadn't posted that you've upset your sister deeply." Immediately making Camila the bad guy for exposing their behavior.
Classic deflection. How does Camila respond?
She pushes back, directly asks Judith about the humiliation at a party, after she'd paid for it.
And Judith answers.
Pure dismissal, according to the source. Things like, "Oh, she was emotional, it was her day," or "We were just trying to keep things peaceful, why drag up every little thing?"
Minimizing. Excusing.
And the classic, Kay's younger figuring it out, be the bigger person. Basically asking Camila to just keep absorbing the bad behavior.
Does Camila keep pushing?
She asks Judith a very direct question. "When was the last time you wished me a happy birthday?"
And the answer?
The source just says, silence.
Tells you everything you need to know.
Right. Camila then says, "It's not about fairness, it's about choice." She chose to end the conversation there, hung up, calls it a small rebellion.
Good for her. Then there's a meeting with Kay.
Yes, face to face. In a cafe in Minneapolis, Camila apparently sets the tone right away.
How so?
She says something like, "I'm not here to scream. I'm here to warn you, twist my story again, and I won't stay quiet." Establishing a clear boundary.
And Kay's reaction? Still dismissive.
Totally. Flippant. "God, you're so dramatic. This isn't court." But Camila stays focused.
She confronts her directly about the lies.
Yep, makes the accusation. You deleted my name from every thank you gave Mom credit for my money. That's not forgetting. That's theft.
Calling it what it is, theft.
Kay tries to shift blame again, saying Mom handled the checks, but Camila clarifies, no, Mom made sure I paid her directly. It was all channeled through Judith.
Does Kay offer anything then?
Sort of. A weak offer to add Camila's name now, after the fact, but then she immediately warns Camila that the storm she's stirring up is not a good look.
Trying to shame her into silence again.
Exactly. But Camila gets the last word before leaving. Neither is lying. Just pure clarity in facing down those deflections.
Wow. Okay, amidst all this conflict and negativity, the sources mention something positive, right? An unexpected moment of support.
Yes, and it feels really significant. It comes from her Grandpa Harold.
Grandpa Harold, what happens?
He shows up at Camila's place, brings lemon poppy seed muffins, just this small, normal, kind gesture.
That's nice.
And then he reveals something important. He and Grandma weren't invited to the party either.
Really? Why not?
Because, according to what Judith told them, they would steal Kay's spotlight.
Unbelievable. So it wasn't just Camila being excluded.
It seems like a pattern of controlling the narrative and who gets included. He also tells Camila he heard them say she talks too much.
Nice.
But he immediately reframes it for her. He says, I talk about what matters, they don't want that heard.
That's powerful validation.
Hugely important. It's someone outside that immediate toxic dynamic seeing it clearly. His words, you're not crazy and don't let them make you feel it, are described as being like a tether back to solid ground for Camila.
Someone actually acknowledged the gaslighting.
Exactly. He's not just picking sides. He's validating her reality against their distortions. A real lifeline, it sounds like.
Okay, so just when you think, maybe things can't escalate further on the personal front.
Yeah.
The sources show the family takes it to a whole new level.
Yeah, this next step is chillingly calculated. Kay attempts to weaponize this against Camila professionally.
What does she do?
Camila gets an email. It's forwarded by an HR acquaintance from a past job.
A past job?
Yeah. And the subject line is, concern regarding employee behavior. The email itself is from Kay.
Oh no. What does Kay say?
The quote in the source is, I'm concerned about Camila's recent behavior. She's been emotionally erratic, posting about family online, exhibiting patterns of harassment. I fear for our safety, and this should be on record should things escalate.
Wow. That was a serious accusation and completely twisting the situation.
It's a deliberate attempt to paint Camila as unstable, as a potential threat, specifically in a professional context, to make her seem, unhireable.
Trying to ruin her reputation and livelihood.
Exactly. But Camila's reaction, as described, isn't fear. It's described as a fury so cold it felt like clarity.
Like this attack actually solidified her resolve.
It seems so. Like this was the final straw that showed her just how far they would go, and that silence was no longer an option. At all.
So, faced with this direct attack on her professional life, Camila decides she has to fight back. Publicly.
Yes, but methodically. The sources describe her compiling her evidence first.
Getting her ducks in a row.
Precisely. Gathering the proof. Screenshots of Venmo transfers, the $750 monthly for rent, the $300 per semester for tuition. Texts from Kay, like the ones with emoji-laced thanks for the car insurance you'd covered, payment confirmations. And, critically, that email Kay sent to HR.
All the receipts, literally.
All of them. And then she turns to Reddit, describes it as a place she'd lurked. A silent refuge.
Treats a throwaway account.
Yep. Specifically for this, and she posts her entire story. The title is blunt and powerful. My sister tried to have me kicked out of the graduation party I paid for. Then she wrote to my job saying I was unstable. Here's what happened.
Holding nothing back.
She chronicles it all, emphasizing no embellishment, just facts, and attaches her evidence. Her final line in the post is just potent. Silence protects abusers. I'm done being quiet.
Wow. That's a declaration.
It's a conscious act of reclaiming power, not just venting.
And what was the reaction on Reddit?
Immediate and huge. Within an hour, the source says thousands of upvotes, comments pouring in.
What kind of comments?
Overwhelmingly supportive. Things like, this is emotional abuse, you're not crazy, I've been there, my family used me too, you're brave for this. By noon that day, it hit the subreddit's front page.
That must have been incredibly validating after feeling so isolated.
She describes the words from strangers wrapping around her like a shield, and there's an immediate real-world effect too.
Oh yeah.
Kay tries calling, but Camila ignores it. And the family goes into, a digital retreat. Kay's Instagram suddenly goes private. Judith's Facebook profile locks down completely.
The public exposure forced them back.
It totally shifted the dynamic. She wasn't the isolated one anymore. Their actions were now out in the open.
So the Reddit post is out there. The family's retreating. Does more information come out after that?
It does. The story keeps unfolding, revealing even more layers.
Like what?
Another piece of evidence surfaces. A high school classmate sends Camila a voice memo, and it has Kay's voice on it.
Oh, wow. What's Kay saying in the memo?
According to the source, Kay is heard saying, "She's my ATM, she'll cave always does," and "guilt is cheaper than gratitude."
Guilt is cheaper than gratitude.
It
just confirms the mindset, doesn't it?
Absolutely confirms the exploitation. Camila posts this memo to Reddit too, simply titled, "Turns out..."
And the reaction?
It explodes again. Comments quoting Kay's own words back. And then Aunt Martha leaves the family group chat again.
Martha's out for good this time, maybe.
Seems like it. Another clear sign of the family facade crumbling under the weight of the truth.
And then comes something even more formal.
Yeah. Perhaps the most concrete piece of evidence of the erasure arrives in the mail. A brown envelope. A scanned copy of her parents' will. The source describes it as highlighted, annotated, and brutal.
How so?
It leaves every asset, every heirloom, every dollar entirely to Kay, Camila's name. Not mentioned, not even as a footnote. Completely written out.
After everything she'd done for them. Financially and otherwise.
It's stark. Camila apparently wasn't entirely surprised, but seeing it black and white, that must have hit hard.
Does she confirm this is like a recent change?
She forwards it to Grandpa Harold. He calls back, confirms, 2 years ago you were in it. So yes, they actively changed it to cut her out.
And other relatives knew.
A distant relative apparently told Camila that Judith never even told people Camila had been in the will previously. Claimed Camila was too dramatic for anything real. The narrative they spun was consistent and long-running.
So now Camila has this will, this undeniable proof of being erased. What does she do?
She decides it's time for one final direct confrontation with her parents.
Okay. Armed with a will.
Exactly. She walks into Judith's house, unannounced, holding the will. The source paints this picture. Kay lounging, the dad, Walter, using a newspaper like a shield, Judith on the stairs ready to lecture.
Tense.
Very. Camila just drops the will down and says, "One honest conversation, that's all I want."
Does she get one?
She pushes for it, asks them point blank if their love is conditional, if family just means silence and service to them.
How do they react to that?
Walter, the father, apparently just says, "That's not fair." Defensive.
And Camila's response?
She holds his gaze, according to the account, and says, "What's not fair is rewriting history and calling it healing." Calling out their self-serving narrative.
Does Kay try to intervene?
Reaches for her phone, maybe to record like before. But Camila warns her off, tells her not to try and make her look unhinged.
She's not falling for that again.
No. Judith tries the deflection one last time. "You don't understand." But Camila's clarity is absolute now. She replies, "I understand more than you ever gave me credit for."
And then she leaves.
Steps back, sees the house differently, like a museum of lies. Her final words before walking out are devastatingly accurate. "This place isn't mine. I just funded the illusion."
Wow. Funded the illusion. That says it all.
It really does.
So after that confrontation, what's the final public act? She shares the will.
Yep. Uploads the will to Reddit. The caption, "Let's stop pretending this was ever about family."
Just laying the final piece of evidence bare.
And the online response ignites again. Comments like, "This is next level manipulation. She gave everything and got erased." And the family's digital presence.
Fine.
Kay deletes her Instagram entirely. Judith's Facebook profile vanishes. Complete digital retreat.
But the story doesn't end there. With their retreat, it shifts focus.
Beautifully, yes. The source is moved towards Camila's rebuilding. Just 3 weeks later, she starts a new job.
Doing what?
Director of outreach at a nonprofit in Minneapolis. The source says she finds purpose, not dread there. It's not just recovery. It's moving forward into something meaningful.
That's great to hear. Does she reconnect with anyone?
Sure.
Or find new support?
Unexpected allies solidify things. Marlene, the cousin who sent the screenshots, visits with someone named Adrian.
Adrian.
Yeah, and he actually gives Camila $60 cash for lunches. Says he feels he failed her before by just going along with how she was treated, like she didn't matter.
Owning his part, that's something.
It is, and Marlene admits she used to think Camila was intense, but now realizes she was just outnumbered. Seeing the full picture changed her perspective.
And Grandpa Harold. Still there.
Rock solid. calls her daily. He confirms he heard the parents laughing about her behind her back, but he holds on to this hope that people forget they're wrong. Still supportive, still believing in, well, maybe eventual understanding, even if it doesn't come.
Any others?
A distant relative, Eleanor, also reconnects. Her eyes are softer, the source says. People are seeing Camila differently now, outside the family's distorted frame.
But the core family, Judith, Walter, Kay, any apologies?
The sources are very clear. No one said sorry, not a word.
But Camila doesn't need it anymore.
That seems to be the realization. Their silence, their absence becomes clarity enough. She finds her validation elsewhere in the truth, in her new connections, in herself.
And this leads to her finding a new kind of voice.
Yeah, it culminates in this really meaningful way. She gets invited to speak on a college panel about resilience.
Wow. Because of her story.
Exactly. They tell her, your story could reach students who feel invisible, and she accepts.
How does she view that opportunity?
Not about, reliving the pain for its own sake, but about giving voice to those still searching for words, using her experience to help others.
That's powerful, turning pain into purpose.
She also finds strength in journaling and holds on to this quote, "You do not have to set yourself on fire to keep others warm."
A motto for self-preservation after being burned so badly.
Precisely. The sources end describing her feeling whole, finding peace.
Able to laugh again, sleep without fear, no longer haunted by Kay's silence or the family's lies.
What a journey documented in these sources. I mean, it just lays bare the devastating impact family betrayal can have.
Yeah.
The insidious ways emotional and financial exploitation can work, but also the incredibly difficult yet vital path to reclaiming your own truth, your own voice.
That realization Camila comes to, the one you quoted from the source, it really resonates. Silence doesn't make you noble. It makes you invisible.
Speaking up isn't revenge. It's reclaiming your place, saying, I was here, I mattered. That hits hard.
It feels like a message for anyone, really, who's ever felt pushed aside, diminished, or just erased in their own life story.
Absolutely. And this deep dive, looking closely at Camila's experience through these sources, it kind of leaves us with a question to reflect on, doesn't it? You know, when you faced betrayal or exclusion, maybe something much smaller scale than this, maybe something subtle, have you ever chosen silence? Maybe thought it was a bigger person thing to do?
Or maybe saw someone else being erased and just didn't say anything.
Right. And seeing the cost of that silence here, but also the power Camila found in speaking up, it makes you wonder, would you choose differently now?
Because your truth, as this story powerfully shows, it really does matter.
It absolutely does.
We hope this deep dive into Camila's story, as presented in these sources, has given you some things to think about. Been insightful, maybe even a little thought-provoking for you.